What is the biodynamic farming system picture? So we have seen two principles that actually bring the soil down. That is the fertilizing, soluble fertilizer, and monoculture. We have seen how we can actually go back by diversity of the ecological system and actually nourish the soil from a living origin. You see those two principles in both. The principle that we actually got into biodynamic farming is also on two or maybe on three sort of principles. That about 90 years ago, farmers in Europe, where are you? Poland.
Oh,
In
okay.
Poland. That's why, I mean, I know I had a long talk with him about his study. In actually biodynamic farming was born in Poland, south of Warsaw, near Krakow. And this is really amazing that you actually been there. I really found it interesting. Okay. Anyway, a group of farmers in that part of the world, in Middle Europe, and a group of scientists, but also a group of veterinary surgeons and doctors, they actually they had noticed in their farming practice that the seed germination was actually becoming every generation less powerful. The vitality of the potential germination power in the seed actually became less and less. That means that actually if the germination potential in the seed becomes less, that the plants that have produced these seeds have become weakened. Right? So they came with that question to Rudolf Steiner, but at the same time the veterinary surgeons also had sort of analyzed out of working with the domestic animals of the farms that the fertility of the farm animals was also going down. Yeah? The birth rate, 100% birth rate out of cow or sheep was actually coming down. So they noticed that in one sense the vitality of the seeds, and in another sense the fertility in the animal kingdom or the animal life actually was going down. And they actually came with that problem to Rudolf Steiner and said, why is that? Because basically we were still farming organically. Because chemical farming is actually a phenomenon from after the Second World War. It's only 50, 60, 70 years old. It's very young. So then Rudolf Steiner actually identified that and said, yes, I think we have a problem with life forces. We have actually a problem with something that actually lives in the living plant, and of course that what lives in the plant, that life force, you cannot see. You cannot see. You can only see the physical manifestation. So he's saying that the life forces in the seeds, as a result of the life forces, diminishing life forces of the plant, had actually gone down. Vitality had gone down. And vitality is life, isn't it? I mean, you can substitute the word vitality in life. I mean, but then you can also go even a step further and say, what is really the principle that lives in life is actually rhythm. Change of form or rhythm. So if you live a very unhealthy rhythmic life, how does it actually manifest in energy? It goes down. So the more you actually live a rhythmic life, you're actually more energetic. So Rudolf Steiner said, this is a principle that has to do where the rhythms come from. And where do rhythms on Earth come from? We know that now more and more. They are actually rhythms that are reflected out of rhythms out of the universe. So for example, the rhythm of sleeping and waking is actually a sun rhythm. Do you see that? And the more complicated life is, the more that life actually is connected with the rhythm. So the plants are mostly still dominated by the rhythms of nature. But the animals are already emancipating a little bit. The rhythm is there, but the rhythm is not going on at the same time as the rhythm there. Yeah. For example, the fertility rhythm of the human being, of the women, is a cycle of 28 days. And everyone knows by now this is actually the rhythm of full moon, new moon. Yeah. It's a moon rhythm that reflects itself in the human being, but is not taking place at the same time as the full moon and new moon, because the human being is far more freer from nature, is more emancipated. Yeah. So he was saying that the rhythms of the universe are not really working as strongly in nature as they used to. So he said it's a matter of really reconnecting the work on the farm in such a way that we actually start to use the rhythms of nature, that we identify in nature, but that actually come from the planets and the stars. So one of the principles is that in this agriculture we are not only organic, I mean biodynamic. Bio is organic, so biodynamic farming has to be organic, otherwise it's not pure, it's not working. And the dynamic way, what is dynamic, is actually the rhythm. So in biodynamic farming, Rudolf Steiner actually introduced that in the organic farm we have to really work more with the rhythms of the universe. And as the rhythms of universe are less powerful or less effectively working in nature, he actually gives 8 formulations of how you can actually make something homeopathically to actually re-impulse the universe into the nature, in the plant, in the animal, in the human being. So basically it comes back to 2 remedies that he gives. Learning more about astronomy, how the rhythms of astronomy affect the rhythms of nature, and how in this work you can do all the farm activity at the right time. Is there a right time of harvesting? Is there a right time of sowing? Is there a right time of transplanting? Yeah, and so on. So that's one of the points that you have to think of when you think of biodynamic farming. It's organic, as best as it can be, but one of the principles is we working with rhythms, the rhythms of the cosmos. So we work with astronomy, and we do that
Have a calendar, I think.
by...
Have an Indian calendar, I think.
Yeah.
This is a New Zealand calendar.
There's a New Zealand calendar,
that
but you
means,
can use that everywhere.
That means we have to plant in right time, right season.
Yeah, we have to learn. We don't know enough, you see.
Of course,
We are not, and our forebears, our parents, they knew when to do things, but they don't understand.
Oh,
Yeah, they knew, they didn't understand.
understand.
And they didn't have to understand, because it came to them as something, they were so close to nature.
Yeah.
There were no iPhones and iPads and computers to actually distract them from being really one with nature. But we have lost that. We have lost that, but that doesn't mean to say that they are not still there. These rhythms are still there. So we have to now find, through our own observation, this new knowledge. And this new knowledge, which is the same as the old knowledge, but in the sense that now we actually know about it and we understand. So in that sense, you have to really also realize that biodynamic farming is young. 90 years is actually nothing in the evolution of man. So we don't have all the answers, but we know where we have to get the answers from. And so we have to really, as a biodynamic farmer, become more and more tuned up with astronomy. So what's in these astronomy calendars, which I cannot really, not in the faintest idea have, that I can explain that to you today. But in this calendar is the common scientific knowledge where the planets are at each moment, in the universe. And so this is actually an objective knowledge that we have. The only thing is you have to interpret it in time because of the time zones. These calendars are basically always made on Greenwich sort of 0 time, and then you have to adjust for NEPAL. I think that is 4.5 hours, 4 and 3/4, 5. Yeah, not quite, because you're a quarter out, aren't you? It's 4 and 3/4.
No, 4:45 night. 5:45.
5:45.
5:45.
Okay, 5:45.
5:45.
Yes, that's correct. So that's the adjustment, and if I use this in New Zealand, I have to adjust it even further for time. But basically, these are universal information that you have to adjust for the northern and the southern hemisphere. That's a bit different, but also for time. So that's one aspect of biodynamic farming, that we actually try to really develop this, and we already know a fair bit. And the other one is these healing substances that Rudolf Steiner gives the recipes of, that we can actually make as farmers, and then actually apply these in our farm. And again, I think that will take a little bit more time to really go through these, because some of them are complicated and others are not so complicated. Then the third, and then I think we should probably have time for questions. And the third is the social issue. Going from the chemical farming to organic farming, we actually already have more people working on the land. That means we're bringing people back from the city to the land. And those people that live in inhumane conditions in the city can actually find a meaningful life again on the land. And you all probably know that working on the land is very healing. And then we can even go further, that on the organic and biodynamic farming systems, we actually create new communities on the land. It has a social impulse as much as a healing earth impulse. A social. So the healing of the earth actually is healing everything, but also healing the social fabric of life. And so the farming systems of the future actually also have the potential of actually developing communities that will actually work together and share together and not compete with one another. I mean, Darwin's sort of principle of competition is actually an exaggeration. Nature is actually far more cooperative than Darwin has tried to put up in the world. But nevertheless, competition is good for our pocket. We have taken advantage very often of all these thoughts. Anyway, so I've given you an overview that agriculture is actually far more important than we're thinking. the lifestyle, it changes the lifestyle, it changes everything in the country if we really go organic or biodynamic. Okay, I try